Hi, I'm Duncan Buchan, you're watching news, and the world's a bit shit right now, innit? In March of 2020, I'd planned to take a day or two off work to play Half-Life Alyx and Doom Eternal. Let's just say, I never ended up going back to my job. What followed has been nearly 2 years of government incompetence and numerous delays of Sony Picture Entertainment major motion picture Morbius. It's like a few years ago when some celebrities died, except this is actually really bad. The 2020 US elections took place, in which the American people proudly stood as one half of two-thirds against the incompetent old man and replaced him with the other incompetent old man. Some people decided to do a coup because their old man was a bit miffed at this, prompting an unprecedented response from the current president, saying, "Hey, don't do that." The UK hasn't been much better. 4.5 years later, Brexit happened? Question mark? All the while, the British government had to deal with the country as the pandemic raged on, prompting an unprecedented response from the current Prime Minister, saying, "Hey, don't do that." Sometimes you just need to get away from it all, and what better than some good satire to ease your mind, like the new Netflix film Don't Look Up, because sometimes laughter is the best medicine. Okay, I'll admit, poor timing on that one. You should get vaccinated or a booster. Medicine really is the best medicine in this case. Don't Look Up, directed by Adam McKay and co-written with David Sirota, released to Netflix at the end of 2021, and it's a bit shit. I can make easy pot shots at this movie, like, you could have used that $75 million budget to donate to charity, and it probably made Netflix so much more, but that isn't very constructive. No shit, pieces of art made under capitalism can't really be ethically produced. Shocker. But I want to come at this movie with the best intentions, and hopefully help you understand why I don't really like it. The movie features Jennifer Lawrence and Leonardo DiCaprio as scientists who discover that a giant comet is heading towards Earth and will kill everyone. Over the course of the movie, they must navigate political red tape and the media non-reaction to the news. They meet up with the President Meryl Streep and her child, who is also the Chief of Staff Jonah Hill. However, the majority of the US leadership refuse to take the issue seriously. In response, DiCaprio and Lawrence go on a daytime news program to leak the news, but are once again met with apathy as Lawrence loses it and DiCaprio keeps his cool. The internet deifies DiCaprio, creating impact font memes in his image while despising Lawrence. The president realizes that helping will increase her chances of getting re-elected, so they send a bunch of nukes to blow up the comet. However, the rockets are retracted after wealthy business tech bro Mark Rylance convinces the president to let him mine the comet for rare minerals, baffling the scientists. In response, Jennifer Lawrence incites a riot, and Leonardo DiCaprio cheats on his wife, who is his age, with the news anchor from earlier, who is also his age, which is somehow the most unrealistic thing to happen in this movie. Lawrence is stripped of her career as she is unable to be a good public face for the issue. DiCaprio is propped up as the face of the issue, courted by the media and poisoned by the fame. However, he realizes he's being manipulated by bad actors into not caring about the threat, despite valid anxieties. Much like Lawrence did earlier, he loses it on live TV and is stripped of his career. DiCaprio and Lawrence reunite after discovering you can actually see the comet by just looking up. Streep launches an opposing campaign by telling people, "Don't look up." Hence the title. Despite the issue gaining traction, their efforts to prevent the comet fail, as does the mining effort. The elite leave the world to die in a rocket and the comet hits, killing everyone. The end. Did that make sense? It's honestly a bit difficult to describe the issues with this film by just describing the events. Do you know Jim? Jim from The Office. Jim does this thing. Like, he's very famous for the thing. You know, it's like... Yeah, you know the thing. People fucking love The Thing. Jim definitely isn't the only person to do The Thing. Dwight does The Thing, Michael does The Thing. Jim wasn't even the first person to do The Thing. I regret to inform you that I'm British. We invented condescendingly telling people the original Office was British, and they do The Thing. But people really like it when Jim does The Thing. Hence why over 1 million people have watched a 10-minute compilation of just Jim doing The Thing. Jim in the show is the straight man. He's surrounded by a cast of kooky and wacky characters, who all do kooky and wacky things. Jim sometimes gets in it, but he's there to be the heart of the show, to ground it in the relatability of being in the proverbial office. When Jim does The Thing, we know what he's getting at. He's letting us into the world of the show to tell us he knows this is weird. He knows that he's currently in a comedic situation. While the show is presented as a documentary, this is Jim telling us that he gets the fiction that he is in and how that relates to reality. This style of comedy, the sly wink and nod about how ridiculous the current situation is, has butterfly effected into every crevice of modern joke writing. You may recognise it as the one joke in the MCU, the literal biggest movie franchise ever conceived.
I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Dr. Otto Octavius.
Wait, no, seriously, what's your actual name?
I'm not saying Jim from The Office ruined comedy, I'm just heavily implying it. This is the entire comedic bit of Don't Look Up. It is 138 minutes of Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence walking into a room, saying something important, getting laughed at or ignored, and then pointing out how stupid that is. Pretty much every scene is set up like this. Interior. Important building. Day. Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence are sitting having a very important discussion with a very important person about the current important crisis. We need to do something about this current important crisis. Actually, I don't think we do. Jennifer Lawrence looks into the camera. The movie's been compared to famous satires, like bizarre pro-eugenics fantasy Idiocracy, and Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, which is actually a good movie. It's easy to see why these two movies are being compared. They're both satires about nightmare scenarios set in the current political climate of their times, both ending in the destruction of modern society as we know it. But I think Dr. Strangelove succeeds where Don't Look Up doesn't, is because its comedic bit doesn't feel as condescending. In Don't Look Up, our two main characters placed in the movie is to be the grounding point for the rest of the cast to bounce off of. The voice of reason in a world gone insane. Meryl Streep and Jonah Hill being stand-ins for Donald Trump and his cronies. Also known as his family. Donald Trump in this movie is to Leonardo DiCaprio what Michael Scott is to Jim in The Office. He's a figure who can only really make you go. Dr. Strangelove does not have this issue. Directed by a cunt, it's a movie about a hypothetical situation in which the Cold War has escalated towards a nuclear stage, and the people trying to deal with it. There are comedic straight men for other characters to bounce off of, but we don't have any characters to act as a through line between everything. There isn't a character in the movie designed to make you point and laugh at other characters. The jokes exist as jokes by themselves. The comedy is self-evident. It's exactly what frustratingly British people like to point out when talking about how much better the UK office is to the US office. The tone of the UK office being much less heightened and wacky, and much more about laughing at professional transphobe Ricky Gervais. Strangelove doesn't just show you real world things in a slightly heightened way that make you feel good because you are the smartest person in the scene who understands that this is crazy. It makes you think about the commentary being offered rather than just having it explained to you. The kind of commentary provided in Don't Look Up leads to this phenomenon that, granted, happens with all satire, where people will talk about how it's a documentary. And coming up next on the Discovery Channel, Don't Look Up was a documentary.
Don't Look Up was a documentary, jury roulette of the New York Times.
Just watch Don't Look Up. The parts about the media in the present looked more like a documentary to me than biting satire. Brian J. Karam, White House correspondent for Playboy magazine.
Finally saw the Netflix film Don't Look Up, a fictional tale of a nation distracted by pop culture and divided on whether to heed dire warnings of scientists. Everything I know about news cycles, talk shows, social media, and politics tells me the film was instead a documentary. Neil deGrasse Tyson, Twitter comedian.
I agree with this movie's thesis statement. Climate denial and apathy is a big issue, pushed mainly by the rich actively profiting off of it and politicians who are being paid off by those rich people. I don't like rich people. If you've watched my videos and you don't know that already, then I've failed as a thinkist. But there's more to a movie than just agreeing with its ideas. I know we need to do something about this. I am currently living through this. I haven't seen McKay's other work that isn't Anchorman 2, The Legend Continues, but I agree with a lot of David Serrata's politics. He was the speechwriter for the 2020 Bernie campaign, but his reaction to the bad press this movie has gotten on Twitter has been embarrassing. In the middle of retweeting glowing praise for the film, he's been responding to specific criticisms on Twitter, complaining about people who don't direct their anger for the movie towards elected officials. When someone screenshotted this with the caption, "Lol, Serrata said this." It's still incredible to me that earnestly asking folks to maybe actually give a shit is seen as eye-rollingly funny or something to laugh at. Literally, the entire movie is a lament about that entire attitude that is killing the world. Adam McKay has also done this exact thing towards criticism of the movie, just less direct than quote tweeting people.
Loving all the heated debate about our movie, but if you don't have at least a small ember of anxiety about the climate collapsing or the US teetering, I'm not sure Don't Look Up makes any sense. It's like a robot viewing a love story. Why are their faces so close together?
Putting aside the straw man of people who dislike this movie as directly opposed to the movie's message, the reactions and their egos about supposedly making one of the most important movies of the decade is emblematic of another major issue with the movie. Who is this movie for? As someone who already agrees with it, it's just a reminder that the world is incredibly depressing right now and we should do something about it. If you don't already agree with the movie's message, it's just going to treat you like an idiot who only cares about memes and celebrities. It's not exactly doing or saying anything that we don't already know. It is the exact type of movie that would make people who already know there is an issue go, "Don't Look Up is a documentary," because of it making light of things that have happened in reality. Remember when the New York Times hired an actual climate change denier onto their staff? The movie is going to regurgitate that as a joke. Remember when Donald Trump said he'd fuck his daughter if they weren't related? The movie is going to regurgitate that as a joke. So, somewhat ironically, despite saying the movie is meant to be an indictment of the mindset where you laugh at people facing reality, the movie serves as ironic detachment for people who already know the issues. And at that point, if all you can offer is just pointing out how fucked or funny reality is, isn't actually just looking at the reality infinitely more funny than the movie presenting these things as jokes? I'm 100% serious on this. Donald Trump was fucking stupid. It was hilarious. In 2017, during a solar eclipse, Donald Trump, with his wife, took to the White House balcony without protective glasses. He looked directly up, pointed at the eclipse at the exact moment someone in the crowd shouted, "Don't look." I can do the other side too. The Democrats held a televised event on the anniversary of the January 6th coup attempt. In the middle of speeches about how we need to uphold democracy, Nancy Pelosi introduced Lin-Manuel Miranda on a big screen to talk about how cool democracy is and then sing a song from Hamilton. The musical. Five people died on January 6th, and you got the guy from fucking Moana. And not even the cool one! We don't need to go up a layer of abstraction to present these things as jokes, when this shit is already equally funny and terrifying. Don't Look Up is a bad comedy because the reality it's making fun of is already funny without it, and it's a bad commentary because what it adds to the conversation is either blatantly obvious or self-evident. And when we come to realize that, we can finally start talking about the real issues, like how we're gonna get out of this mess. So we can go see Sony Picture Entertainment's Morbius. I want to risk my fucking life being way too close to someone in a dark room just so I can see Jared Leto as my 4th favorite vampire on the big screen! Hey, just popping in at the end here to give shouts to my friends Emma, Woodaba, Parakasha, and Gobsmack, who helped voice the tweets in the video. The latter 3 being other people who make videos that are quite good. Link to them will be in the description. If you want something more than nepotism, also linked will be a video about Don't Look Up by Hero the Kid. I don't know this person, I just found this video while researching and thought it was a nice alternate perspective from someone who enjoyed the movie. As usual, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, leave a comment and tell your friends. I'm a small-time guy who makes videos in my free time outside of work, and I don't make money from this, so the best thing you can do if you like my stuff is help me get out there. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.